ओम योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचा मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि. We are in the fourth chapter, last chapter of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Name of the chapter is Kaivalya Path, and different analysis Patanjali is doing, beautiful analysis by which we know things as they are. Up to 11th, last time we read. Now we read the 12th. Atita anagatam swarupato asti advabhedat dharmana. What you call past and what you call future. Swarupato, in their form, they exist even today. The past also exists, the future also exists, along with the present. Now, the way of expression is different. Advabhedat dharmana. Their qualities have different ways. What are those qualities? He tells in the next sutra. Remember, very important statement. What you call past has not gone away, it is here. What you call future is also here, present is also here. But they are expressed in different ways. They are expressed in different ways, but they are here. What are the ways? Te Vyakta Sukshma Gunatmana. Te, which means past, present, and future, especially the past and future. Gunatmana, they are made of three gunas only. And they are either expressed or subtle. What was past, expressed, has become subtle now. And what is future is subtle now. It will become gross afterwards. So if you can see the subtle, we can see the past and present. The future also is present, though not expressed. Past also is present, it has not gone away, it has become subtle. So the type of expression differs, but present is expressed for us, past has become subtle, future is still subtle. Past has become subtle, future is still subtle. It has not yet become gross. And that is why people are able to forecast or see what is your future. What you will do in future, you have already done in a subtle form. Example, you think something in the mind and you do it. There is a time gap or not. So, we need not bring Vedanta here. Vedanta says in Ishvara's mind it has happened. On this Prithvi Loka, it will be reflected afterwards. So, nothing is new, nothing is past. Only here subtle, important analysis Patanjali is telling us. Understood? Then 14. Parinama ekatvad vastu tattvam. Parinama ekatvad. That means things go on changing. Things go on changing, but there is a unity or uniformity in their modifications. That means now it is like this, then it becomes like this, then it becomes like this. So everything goes in a rhythmical succession. We feel it is continuous. Let us take here the example of a cinema show, that things are changing. 1/16th of a second a picture comes. But we feel something is happening continuously. So the continuity is because the changes are happening rhythmically. Very important thing. In this world, there appears to be continuity or stability sometimes. Change is continuously happening. Prakriti is continuously changing. Atman is never changing. Prakriti is continuously changing. Atman is never changing. But the Prakriti appears to be something continuous because the changes are harmonical. That means harmoniously they jump one after the other, one after the other. We think something is continuous. This is the analysis. And those who have subtler perception can see this. And that is why they say, tomorrow this will happen. And it happens. Nothing miraculous in that. They are having this subtler perception. Some funny stories are there in the Puranas. In Brahmadeva's hall, some sabha is going on. And Narada claps. What has happened? Ravana is born. And then after 5 minutes, he claps again. What has happened? Ravana is killed. So in Brahma's place, it has happened in 5 minutes. But in Prithvi, we see how many years Ravana lived and then he was killed. So the time sense. One beautiful example Swamiji has given in his Jnana. It is a Vedantic explanation. Bhagavan Shri Krishna and Narada are going together. And Narada says, Bhagavan, I want to see what is your Maya. Bhagavan says, that I will tell, but I am feeling thirsty, bring a little water for me. So he goes and sees a house and he knocks the door and it is opened by a beautiful girl. Narada forgets his Bhagavan and he starts talking with the girl. Then they go on talking. Then Narada goes to that house again and again. And then he asks the girl's father. Then they marry. And then they have several children. And the father-in-law dies, so Narada became the ruler like of that place. Then floods come. And Narada's house is blown away. So Narada is in the river, holding his wife to his chest, one son on the head, one son in this hand. And the current is so strong that the sons are swept away. Finally, the wife also is swept away. And Narada falls on the bank. 12 years have gone. And Narada is lamenting for the loss of his wife and son. And then Bhagavan comes near and says, Narada, where are you gone? Half an hour has gone. I am feeling thirsty. So, for one man, half an hour is gone. And for Narada, 12 years has happened. Now, in our dream, how much time we dream, we do not know. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. And 50 years have happened. So many things have happened. So this time sense is a very relative concept. What is for one man is not for another man. Or on the subtle level, it is different. On the gross level, it is different. But both places, it is going harmoniously. And so there is an appearance of continuity. Vastu samye chitta bhedat tayor vivakta pantha. Now he is telling mind and object are different. Why? Perception and desires vary with regard to the same object. Object is same. One man is seeing, his perception is different. And his desires are different. We think all people think in the same way. It is not true. Same thing is perceived differently by different people. And different desires arise. Now, let us take an example. A woman is there. What is child's perception? My mother. What is her husband's perception? My wife. What is her sister's perception? My sister. Mother's perception? My daughter. And different desires arise or not. The child wants milk from the mother. The sister or friend, they want to chat with the mother, girl. Husband wants different thing. Mother wants different thing. So that means object is one thing, mind is another thing. Because different minds are there, so different perceptions and different desires are rising. That proves that mind is different and object is different. Because people are not aware of their mind. So Patanjali is making us aware. Tad uparaga chittasya vastu gyata gyatam. Now, we take the example of the crystal. If something is reflected on the crystal, crystal takes that color. Now, there are so many things, and mind does not become attached to everything simultaneously. Things are in our front. Many times you will see that chair I see, but near that chair some stool is there I don't see. My own shirt is hanging there. I don't see. I'm finding my search. I'm searching for my search. So things are known or unknown to the mind depending upon whether the thing has thrown some impression on the mind or not. That uparaga apekshitvat. Uparaga means being colored by that. No, mind does not become that color. Suparaga, like mind is expecting the thing will color me, and then mind perceives. If the thing does not color the mind does not perceive. Those of you who have read Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes, they will find Dr. Watson seeing so many things. But Sherlock Holmes is seeing some different things which he is not seeing. Things are there, but he is not seeing them. And that is what is happening to us always, Patanjali says. Many times even there is a quarrel. Such and such thing is there. His friend will say, no, I went there. There is a different thing there. I will give an example. When I was in Nagpur, we heard on the next road there is a fire. Now, there was a hotel and there was a furniture shop near it. So we were apprehensive. If the furniture shop catches fire, it will be difficult. Now, one of our workers was coming on bicycle on that same road. And he says, the furniture has got fire. And he says, I have seen by my own eyes. I still remember that incident. How many years back it has happened. I have seen by my own eyes, the furniture shop is on fire. Then after some time we went for walking. We saw furniture shop is not touched at all. Only that hotel there was a fire. So that is our perceptions. He says, when the impression comes on the mind, then we perceive. Analytically. In this chapter, Patanjali is talking analytically. Now, come back. Mind. These are about the objects. Objects showing impression on the mind. Now, mind, what is happening in the mind? That we always know. Because we are constant. We, the knower, the pure consciousness, knows what is happening in the mind. Sada gyata chitta vrittaya. The vritti is in the chitta to a proper observer, to a keen and proper detached observer. Always we know what are the vrittis in our mind. That Prabhu, their master, that means the pure consciousness. That is the Lord. Aparinamitvat. As the Purusha, which is pure consciousness, is not changing, he constantly pursues the changes happening in the mind. Mind does not see everything every time because it depends upon the impressions. Purusha or the pure consciousness sees the mind every time because Purusha is constant. So by this Patanjali has shown that there are three separate things: the consciousness, the subtler world, and the grosser world. So this I will read out a little from Swamiji's commentary. He has made a common commentary after all these sutras. The whole gist of this theory is that the universe is both mental and material. Both of these are in a continuous state of flux. What is this book? It is a combination of molecules in constant change. One lot is going out and another coming in. It is a whirlpool. But what makes the unity? What makes it the same book? The changes are rhythmical. In harmonious order, they are sending impressions to my mind. And these pieced together make a continuous picture. Although the parts are continuously changing, mind itself is continuously changing. The mind and body are like two layers in the same substance, moving at different rates of speed. Relatively, one being slower and the other quicker. We can distinguish between the two motions. For instance, a train is in motion and a carriage is moving alongside it, horse carriage. It is possible to find the motion of both these to a certain extent, but still something else is necessary. Motion can only be pursued when there is something else which is not moving. But when two or three things are relatively moving, we first pursue the motion of the faster one and then that of the slower ones. How is the mind to perceive? It is also in a flux. Therefore, another thing is necessary which never moves, which moves more slowly. Then you must get to something in which the motion is still slower and so on, and you will find no end. Therefore, logic compels you to stop somewhere. You must complete the series by knowing something which never changes. Behind the never-ending chain of motion is the Purusha, the changeless, the colorless, the pure. All these impressions are merely reflected upon it. As a magic lantern, cinema was not there in those days. As a magic lantern throws images upon a screen without in any way tarnishing it. Screen is not tarnished. Picture after picture is coming. So Atman is never polluted. The mind and the body are throwing different pictures on it. Now about the mind. Natat swabhasam drishyatvat. If we are trained ourselves, we can perceive our mind. If we are slightly detached from the mind, we can perceive our mind as an object. So, mind is not self-luminous. Atman is self-luminous, mind is not, because as we perceive a jar, mind also can be perceived. Now, all this depends upon our practice of yoga. But by steadying our mind, by concentrating, we can perceive our mind. We have seen in the Sampragyata Samadhi that if we concentrate on an outside object, we reach the subtler plane and we concentrate and we come back to our mind and we concentrate, we go deeper into high consciousness. That was what was taught. And when we have sufficient concentration and knowledge, then we try for this Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So, mind can be pursued, mind is once pursued, and so mind is not self-luminous. एक समये च उभय अनवधारणम. At the same time, mind cannot perceive an object and itself at the same time. If mind is engaged in perceiving objects, it cannot analyze itself. It cannot see itself. Unless mind stops perceiving objects, it cannot observe itself. It cannot analyze itself. This also proves that it is not self-luminous. If there is self-luminous, we take an example. Of course, the example is that of Purusha himself. Purusha knows itself as self-consciousness. Purusha knows itself as an object subtle. Purusha knows body as an object gross. So, relatively, if we know sun as sun god sees the world and sun god sees itself also. So a luminous thing will see itself as well as an outside object. But mind is not luminous. That is proved by its not being able to cognize itself and an object at the same time. So one after the other arguments. In the 18th he said, mind is not luminous because it is an object. 19th he says, mind is not self-luminous because mind is not able to perceive simultaneously itself in an outside object. Now we assume some other mind is observing it. If we, without recognizing the constant Atman, suppose we assume mind is pursued by another mind, then there will be no end to this series. Chittantara drishye buddhi buddher ati prasanga smruti sankarascha. Analytical logic Patanjali is presenting. Suppose we assume Chittantara, another mind. Then no end to assumption. That means who pursues that mind? Assume another. Buddhi buddhe hai. That means here buddhi is representing mind only. Ati prasanga, there will no end to these assumptions. Another funny thing will happen. Smruti sankarascha. Where is memory in the mind? If it is pursued by another mind, that will have its own memory. Another mind will have its own memory. And we will be confusing, we will have so many memories mixed up. So theoretically, he is telling that mind does not cognize itself. It is the mind cognizes objects. Atman cognizes mind and objects. Mind does not cognize itself because if we assume another mind, then confusion of memory will be there and logic will become illogical. So, mind is not self-luminous. We are following. The logic is very simple here, though Patanjali is analyzing and showing us very simple logic. Iter aprati sankramaya tadakara pattau sabuddhi samvedanam. Now, how the mind appears to perceive. I will give an example here. A iron ball. We heat it in fire, becomes red. Then that iron ball we place on a table. It burns the table. But iron has no property of burning the table. Because fire had come into it, it burns. Sometimes water's quality is coolness, but the water is steaming and we put our hand and we are burned. It is the heat which had come in the water which had enabled it to burn. So, when mind is near the Atman, it catches the consciousness of the Atman. The consciousness of the Atman is reflected on the mind. And so mind becomes conscious as it were. Because we always see Our mind is cognizing things. We are not aware of our Atma. So, mind, you may say, borrows light from the Atman, and with itself it sees things. That is our whole life is going on. Even when we say, my eyes are seeing this, eyes are not seeing. The consciousness of Atman has gone into mind, and from their mind it has gone into eyes, and that consciousness is perceiving. But because it has gone into the eyes, I feel my eyes are seeing. So, from all this is deriving one fact. Atman is self-conscious. Nothing else in the world is self-conscious. That is what is deriving it. Atman is constant. Everything else is in flux. So the distinction between Prakriti and Atman is being pointed out in this way by Patanjali in the Kaivalya path. So, how we can achieve Kaivalya, that will be pointed out clearly. So, Chite aprati sankramaya tadakara pattau swabuddhi samvedanam. Mind gets tadakara patti. That means catches the reflection of the consciousness. And then swabuddhi samvedanam. Then our mind catches, you can see objects or everything by the consciousness which has taken from the Atman. Here Swamiji has added one thing which is not in, no, I'm going forward, not there. When the mind comes near the Purusha, it is reflected as it were upon the mind Purusha. And the mind for the time being becomes knowing and seems as if it were itself the Purusha. We are not aware of our Atman. We are not aware of the pure consciousness. We are aware of a mixture, mind and borrowed consciousness. So when mind borrows consciousness, it appears mind is conscious, mind is perceiving. Drashtu drishyar uparaktam chittam sarvartham. Drashtu drishyar uparaktam chittam. Chittam is mind. On one side, it is catching the reflection of Atman, drashta. Drashta or seer is pure consciousness. Mind catches its consciousness on the one side. Drishya uparaktam, on the other side, the object is coloring it. So mind is catching consciousness of Atman, and from other side, it is catching the colors of the object, and it is able to see everything. So mind seeing everything depends upon the pictures thrown by the objects, and also the consciousness borrowed from the Atman. Otherwise, mind could not have seen. So whatever we see, feel, hear, touch, imagine, the mind is in between the objects and the Atman. Atman reflects on the mind, and then mind catches the coloring of the object. That is the process of knowledge going on in our life. The process of knowledge going on in our life is through the mind. Atman reflects on the mind, and outside objects reflect on the mind, and that is how we see. Tad asankheya vasana vishchitramapi parartha samvatya karitva. That is mind. Asankheya vasana vishchitramapi. It is colored by an innumerable desires or innumerable impressions. Mind is colored by innumerable impressions. But it is a combination. It is a combination of 5 subtle elements It is a combined state of objects and the mind, and so it acts for other. That is a permanent rule found by the Sankhya, accepted by Vedanta, Yoga, everybody. Please write down if you like. Sanghata Pararthatvat. One day we have discussed this. Sanghata Pararthatvat. If there is a combination, it is for something else. I repeat some example. We say this table and chair are made for each other. What the table will do with the chair, what the chair will do with the table. But if there is a matching table and chair, it is made for a man to sit on the chair and read or write on the table. So the combination of table and chair is made for a man, not for itself. Sometimes in the olden days, little older, in the cigarette there used to be an advertisement. The tobacco and filter made for each other. Neither is tobacco is made for the filter nor filter. Both are made for a man to smoke. So wherever there is a combination, now our body is a combination, our mind is a combination. So they are made for the Atman. That is the meaning. Any combination is not made for itself or its parts. It is made for something else. Though mind is colored by innumerable desires, yet being a combination, samatya karitvat, that means it acts in combination. Samatya karitvat means it acts in combination. Parartham. So it is for something else. The Lord, the Swami, the Atman. Vishesha Darshina Atma Bhava Bhavana Livrutti. Now continuously we are taking mind as me. Mind is, I don't know anything. I am the mind. I am the mind. I am the mind. He said those who have practiced this concentration or those who have a clear perception, Vishesha Darshina. Those who are special seers, those who are trained seers, those who have practiced concentration, Atma Bhava Bhavana, feeling the mind as self, Nivrutti goes away. Feeling the mind as self goes away. For any trained observer, any man who has practiced meditation, any man who has tried to understand what Patanjali has told up till now, analytically, if this analysis enters, I will find mind is separate, I am separate. So myself, the whole problem of our life is mind. Whole problem. Whole problem. I do not know myself other than by mind. Then interaction with wife, husband, children, mother, father, world, enemies, friends. What is all this? Mind. Atman will not quarrel with anybody. Atman has nothing to do with the world. Atman is pure consciousness. Vedanta will add, Atman is happy by itself. So, Sankhya or Yoga do not know happiness. They will say, Atman has no pain, no misery. It is mind which has brought misery. It is mind which has made us interactive with the whole world. That is the very work of the mind, the nature of the mind. Those who are interested, I have made a computer design to show the difference between mind and heart. Never confuse mind and heart, please. So Patanjali is not talking here of heart, he is talking directly of Atman. Mind is an instrument, connects me to outside world. Mind has no other business. Heart is the instrument which makes me join with my reality God. Now, when some acute feeling in the mind comes, we feel it is hard. Not only that, we feel it is the Atman. Acuteness of feeling does not make it Atman. Acuteness of emotion, not feeling, does not tell it is hard. Now let me tell something which my Guruji told me. Mind you, difference between emotion and feeling. In this Kali Yuga, the word emotion has gathered great momentum and become too popular. My Guruji used to say emotion is biological. And then how feeling is described? Write down very important sentence I am going to tell. That feeling is genuine, which proceeds from an absolutely tranquil heart. That feeling is genuine, which proceeds from an absolutely tranquil heart. Then he has to add two more sentences. That thinking is genuine, which proceeds from an absolutely tranquil heart. Our thinking is so much colored by our mind. That is not thinking. By that way, we cannot think of God. So, that thinking is genuine, which proceeds from absolutely tranquil heart. And then third sentence, that will is genuine, which proceeds from an absolutely tranquil heart. We know the Westerners say the mind has three functions: thinking, feeling, will. Now, whether mind is working in these three ways or our heart is working, we have to find the difference. In the beginning, there will be emotion. Then we try to control that emotion. According to my Guruji, both by philosophical reasoning and by practical reasoning. Practical reasoning means if I behave like this, what will happen in society, what will happen in my life? And philosophical reasoning is, it is the vritti of the mind, not myself. Let me tell you a funny anecdote, important anecdote. When I was in Chandigarh, I used to frequently, every 3 months at least, go to Amritsar, stay there for 3 days, and have different programs in schools, colleges, devotees, like that. There was a school, Springdale Public School. And there, even the children, that means usually the principal will put me to interact with the children. Question and answer, the form will take. Now, one time, I had to talk to 5 schools. And so the principal said, today time is very little. There will be no interaction. When the morning assembly is there, you speak for 20 minutes, that will be over. So I spoke for 20 minutes. And when I came out from that assembly and almost reached the car which had to take me away, one boy came running as if his life depended upon it and says, Maharaj, I have a question, I have a question. The principal said, Maharaj, you have to attend to this question now. He said, now Hindi, please try to understand. आपने बताया कि हर एक के दिल के अंदर भगवान रहते हैं और हमने बुजुर्गों से सुना है कि दिल की बात नहीं माननी चाहिए. Now how to put it in English? You have told, English cannot told, but I am trying. You have told that in everybody's heart, God resides. Now, English has no equivalent. In Urdu or Hindi, this word dil has 2 different connotations. Mind is also called dil and heart is also called dil. So he has learned from the elders, Bujurgon say, that we should never follow our mind. And you say, I am not trying to put in his language. And you say that in everybody's mind God resides. I never told that, but because of the language. I told my boy, Dil represents two different things. Our mind has vagaries. And if we do not analyze it by our buddhi, practical reason, we will go astray. And that is why the older people have told, don't follow your emotions. Now let me say, don't follow your emotions. What I have told you is the peaceful heart. And I have told you, if you enter your heart, you will see God there. God is within the heart. If you are able to enter your heart, you will see God is there. In Patanjali's language, he calls it Chitta. There we will find the Atman is reflected. Or beyond that or inside that we will find Atman. While don't succumb to the vagaries of the mind. Understood? So, Vishesha Darshana, when we have become specially trained to see things properly, about the mind, Atma Bhava Bhavana, we think, our feeling that it is myself, Nivrutti, that will go away. To the special thinkers, the bhavana that mind is myself will go away. Tada viveka nimnam kaivalya pragbhavam chittam. So remember, Ridambhara Tatra Prajna, that means concentrating and concentrating. We have got knowledge, wisdom, inside wisdom, and now he is talking of the inside wisdom. In the 4th chapter on the Kaivalya he is talking of the inside wisdom which are gained by our Sampragyata Samadhi. Now, if you have gained it by any other means, welcome. If you have gained it by your analytical faculty, welcome. If you have gained it by your Vedantic knowledge, welcome. So, Tada means when we have stopped thinking that mind is myself, then the mind itself, Chittam, Viveka Nimnam, it becomes, Nimnam means going down not in the bad sense, precipitating as it were, coming near to the Atman as it were, through discrimination. When we understand mind is not myself, the mind becomes filled with discrimination. Kaivalya Pragbhavam. It is the pre-state of Kaivalya. It is the pre-state. It is not Kaivalya, but it is reaching Kaivalya now. The mind becomes filled with discrimination. Heavily, it is the gravity. That means the mind is going near Kaivalya. There is a part Veda also in this sutra, Kaivalya Pragbharam. Kaivalya Pragbhavam. Kaivalya Pragbharam means gravitates towards Kaivalya. Pragbharam means it gravitates towards Kaivalya, and Pragbhavam means previous state of Kaivalya. Pragbhavam means the previous state, next state will be Kaivalya. Pragbharam means gravitates towards Kaivalya. Tada, when it has become confirmed that mind is not myself, then the mind becomes filled with discrimination and goes towards Kaivalya, attain the state previous to Kaivalya. That is the meaning. Now, this does not happen continuously. Sometimes in saner moments, I call it, we also perceive mind is not myself. We also discriminate going towards self, but then troubles come. Very practical, Patanjali is telling, the chidreshu pratyantarani sanskarebhya. Our deeper impressions are there. Impressions of our desires and enjoyments of the all previous lives are there. and they lie very deep in the mind. So they come within the holes, the chidreshu. That means this process is going on towards Kaivalya. Pratyayantarani. Some other perceptions come due to sanskaras. When we are going towards Kaivalya, some other feelings or perceptions come due to our old sanskaras. The chidreshu. Chidra means gap. Gap here. Holes is gap. Our mind is filled with discrimination. It has come to the step up to which we will get Kaivalya. But in this process, there are gaps. And in that gap arise our old sanskaras and our old desires. Then, anamesham kleshoduktam. Anam, the destruction of these obstructions, esham. He said, we had told you how the kleshas can be destroyed. Same process is applied here. We go back to that sutra. In the second chapter, 10th sutra. Those who have the text, please go back. Second chapter, 10th sutra. Oh. Te pratiprasava heya sukshma and dhyana heya stadvruttaya. We are told when the sanskaras are very, very subtle, not active, we should see the cause from which the sanskaras have arisen. Avidya, asmita, ragadvesh, abhinivesh. So, abhinivesh is resolved into ragadvesh, ragadvesh resolved into asmita, asmita resolved into avidya. That means it vanishes. The way they are born, reverse of that way we have to go. And if they are strong, then meditation will help us. Now, same process you apply for these sanskaras which have arisen, which are there. He has told past, present, and future is there. All the sanskaras of our past lives are there. And when the meditation weakens a little, when the discrimination weakens a little, in that gap, these sanskaras arise. And they bring different perceptions. Now, we should resolve them in their prakriti. They are from prakriti. So, these sanskaras, we resolve into their causes, and in this way we control them or they vanish. Some Vedantic example I will give. You understand me? I am talking of Sri Ramakrishna's disciple, Shivananda Mahapurush Maharaj. He was sitting in Almora, and his mind was about to enter Nirvikal Samadhi. Now, one of his sisters had been tortured in the in-laws' place, suffered very much. When he was in the house, he had pursued them. And that had made very deep impression into him. And suddenly, those impressions came out. And he felt a great compassion. And he felt, do I have not any duty to my sister? This Vedanti, who is about to enter Nirvikal Samadhi, due to the old sanskaras, gets the memory of the torture which his sister has suffered, and then feels he has some duty towards her. Immediately he says, another sanskara came out. My boy, this is called Maya. And immediately those sanskaras vanished and he entered Nirvikal Samadhi. Now, Patanjali is telling, old sanskaras will arise. What time we do not know. But don't be afraid. Resolve them into the Trigunatmak Prakriti and think that I am not that, they are Prakriti. That's all. Unless the will has become very strong due to our practice of constant concentration, this we cannot do. When the old sanskara, now I have seen some people. Let me tell one example. There was a brahmachari who lived with sadhus right from his childhood. Perhaps he was an orphan or not, we do not know. And everybody used to say, he is very natural sadhu. Now, he went to Belur Math in the training center. You have to visualize something. Huh? On the 1st January every year, in Kashipur, how many? 1 lakh, 1.5 lakh people go to take Thakur Darshan. The line is right up to the main road, some kilometers. And the brahmacharis are given duty. What is the duty? Please proceed, please proceed, please proceed. That means they should not allow anybody to stop somewhere. Now, in that heavy rush, this brahmachari, a woman came and he pursued her as his mausi, mother sister. How? And then he felt he has some duty towards her. And then he left the mission and went to his house. And then took a job, and I don't know further whether he married or not, but he started looking after, I should say, supposed mausi, mother sister, aunt. Such things happen in life. But if you are a strong analytical person, and they used to say this voice is natural sannyasi, natural. Only because he lived with the sadhus from the childhood. But this living with the sadhus in the childhood has not obliterated some desire or some sanskaras in him. And in such a heavy rush, how he sees his aunt, difficult to say. And then he is pulled by the sense of duty. And he leaves mission and goes away and gets his life ruined. Another funny thing I have heard. There was floods or famine in East Bengal. And some of our sadhus had gone to do relief work. A girl had become orphan. Mother and father had died. And she was deaf and dumb. Now sadhu got a feeling of mercy and compassion. Who will look after her? And he married her. And then weeping all life, I spoiled myself. So these are the examples of what Patanjali is telling. Deep, deep, deep there are sanskaras. And though you are reaching Kaivalya, they will shoot up and carry you away. But you should resolve them in their causes. That means they all belong to Prakriti. They have nothing to do with me. And that is how you can free yourself from them. For the day where I thought I was afraid that in 2 classes we will not be able to finish. But today, only one topic Patanjali was analyzing. Atman, mind, body. Physical world, subtle world, consciousness. And then he says, we are taking mind, I am summarizing the whole thing, they are taking mind as self. But when you develop the power of discrimination, you understand mind is not the self. And then your mind goes towards Kaivalya because it is filled with discrimination. And at this point of time, your very, very old sanskaras may rise. And You have to check that rising by resolving into their causes. So, we come back to where we are reading. Anamesham Kleshoduktam. 27 sutras were read, and there are 33. So, next class, 6 sutras. And today you have seen the notice has come. It has gone to all the centers of the Ramakrishna Mission. Notice from the university that immediately after the completion of this, we will have Narad Bhakti Sutra classes. On the same time, same days of the week and same time, we will have classes on Narad Bhakti Sutras. This notice just now I saw. So it has gone to all centers. And those who asked me, I sent to all of them also. And the time has now come. Next week, next Friday, we hopefully complete this Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And from Monday next, that is 17th, we take up Naradiya Bhakti Sutras. I have sent the text to many people. I will send to some more. And the classes will be in English, please. Classes will be in English only. Though I have sent the original sutras with my Hindi translation. And I requested some of them. I requested even Atma Priyananji, you can put somebody to make it in English. Or after our classes, we can find the English. Okay? So this is my announcement. Om Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacha Malam Sharirasya Cha Vaidyakena Yopakarottam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hare Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.